So I'm making this video in response to Bobby Walker. He wrote me an email, well, a couple of emails now, asking some questions, and they were pretty good questions, so I thought it'd be easier to answer them in video rather than typing a whole bunch, and maybe somebody else might get something out of it. So I figured I'm taking a little walk. Why not do a couple things at once? So these are questions about Drunken in specific. The very first one we'll talk about, I guess, is let's see, Beggar Sue. Let's start there. So in all of the movies and all of the stories, if you start looking into Drunken kind of quote unquote historically, which of course movies don't give you history, but if you try to find anything about it, you're going to find all of these references to this guy Beggar Sue, So Hai Zi, right? And the deal is that he was a real guy. Doesn't sound like there was much known about him, because apparently maybe the rumors about him being a drunk were real or true, I don't know. But it did turn out that he was named as one of the 10 tigers who went south. And the 10 tigers are very famous. One of them most Kung Fu people are already going to know, which is Wong Kei Ying. And Wong Kei Ying was the father of Wang Fei Hong. Okay? And Wang Fei Hong, of course, is like the Chinese Robin Hood, right? Real guy. And in the movies, Jackie Chan portrayed him getting in trouble in Drunken Master with his dad, Wang Kei Ying. And in so much trouble, he gets sent to his super mean uncle to get taught a lesson, which was Beggar Sue. So that's actually referencing the same thing, because he wouldn't have been his blood uncle. What he would have been, of course, was his father's best friend or Kung Fu brother. So martial arts uncle of some kind. Ah, nice. All right. So Beggar Sue was a real guy. Do we know exactly what he did? No, not really. I met a teacher in Taiwan, wow, a long time ago, 15 years ago or so. And he was a Hung Dar master, really skilled. And he was Wang Fei Hong's lineage, and he had a drunken set. And it was really cool. He actually hung out with Master Zhang and I. And yeah, we talked shop. It was really cool. The form wasn't anything different. It was just another drunken set. It had all the same kind of Fujigongfa, like the elements of how the body has to work and principles and all that sort of stuff, at least in body movement. They were all in there. All the info, I'd say, would be encoded in it. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. One sec here. So Robert, he sent me a couple of video links. One of them is a Drunken versus karate fight. Went around the internet a few years ago. I'll try to put the link when I post this video. Take a look at it. The Drunken practitioner in it gets his ass kicked, as he should have. And especially with karate guys, what was he thinking? Anyway, what Bobby wanted to know was what my opinion on that video was. Like, what was my thinking? Well, the guy's Drunken was pretty awful, truly. And I only say that because he didn't have any power. Okay? No, that's not the only reason I say it. He had no power, he had no root. He wasn't very good at martial arts, period. And when people start doing things like Drunken boxing, oh man, or Tai Chi or Bagua, yeah, generally, anything that they consider really exotic and weird, and it's gonna empower them spiritually in some way, it attracts a certain kind of person. Okay? So the thing is, a lot of people that go to Drunken boxing, they'll go learn a form from someone, and then they'll just assume that they're a master now, because that's all martial arts are, is movements, right? So you end up with guys like that. That's my opinion. He probably did some kind of wushu or something and had never been in a fight, so he got his butt kicked. The other video was about Emanuel Augustus. Oh baby, Emanuel Augustus. Just brought to my attention, actually, by a friend of mine, Nick. And he and I were talking about it, and I actually started writing notes about him, because Nick asked me the same sort of question. You know, what do you see here? Emanuel Augustus is called the Drunken Boxer, and he is. And what's really cool is you're seeing in those videos of him Lots of stuff that's actually right out of the traditional stuff I was taught. Various stepping. There's actually one, I'll see if I can clip it out or something, but there's one movement in that video that actually is dead on one of our stepping drills being used like straight in a fight. It's totally awesome. Really cool to see. But the biggest things that I see going on in between those two different videos, Emanuel Lewis has power and root. He knows how to fight. And because he knows how to fight and he knows what those rules and restrictions generally are, what are the rules of the box? Well, the drunken part of that is breaking out of that. He's still playing boxing. He's not kicking people in the nuts or whatever. He's not going outside the rules, but he's most certainly not doing what everybody expects. And that's the whole idea. If you're really unorthodox, you're unpredictable. I mean, you're crazy. You look at the videos of him boxing, an orthodox boxer looks at that and is like, man, this guy's nuts. But I mean, look at his timing and his speed and everything else. It works, right? Killer. He's a killer, that guy. Okay, what else? There was one more, I think. Oh yeah, good stuff. Okay, let's do the easy one. The calabash, right, or the gourd. Is the gourd a weapon, is what he wrote. And it's a question I get quite a bit, so yeah, of course it is. The only thing about it, of course, is like when I learned gourd, well, first of all, what is it? It's whip chain. That's it. If you learn whip chain, basically you take a gourd and you put it on the end of a rope and you whip it at people. The other method of use is having it in your hand as a club. So like I have a gourd, before I got my steel one, I had one that I got turned out of wood. So I could still hold water in it like a canteen, but it was made of solid wood, so I could conk somebody if I had to, right? So you end up kind of putting these two things together. You've got the whip chain techniques, and then you've got the, that's a nice spot. I'll check that out later. After the whip chain techniques, then you've got stabbing with the bottle end and hooking movements, that kind of stuff. It's really nice, but truth be told, that's not the whole story. So why is the gourd a weapon? I mean, wow, people, I remember when I was like, yeah, gourd, cool, that kicks ass. But when you learn it, like when I was taught it, and when I teach it, it's not about, you can use this cool new weapon. It's about turning things that are everyday items into things you know how to use with your body, integrated with your body. That's what it's about. So by the time you're getting to gourd, you've done some staff and you've done things like that, sword. And by the time you're at gourd, you're at flexible weapons. So realistically, someone who's trained like, well, in Drunken, right, we do staff and sword primarily, some broadsword, and we'll say gourd. So if you can rock all of that stuff and you get attacked, you know, in a back alley near a construction site like where I am, there's all kinds of stuff you can pick up, and it's sort of like a staff, 2x4s, or, you know, a chain laying on the ground. It's sort of like a gourd. I mean, honestly, when my Kung Fu brother Lorne and I used to bounce, we made my truck's loud too. We made you know, the biker wallets with the keychain, the chains on them. We made them with really long chains doubled up in quick releases, because the one thing we didn't want to run into in the bar was people with knives. So we figured if we attached our keys to about 5 feet of chain, you should be able to smack the shit out of somebody if you had to. Gourd. Drunken animal types. Bobby, I gotta tell you something, man. When you asked me that question, you taught me something. Because, of course, I'm like, drunken animal types. What is this kind of a ridiculous concept? Drunken Tai Chi, maybe. Yeah, drunken mantis. I've seen that movie. But animals are just paradigms of thought. So you know what? It hit me that that is another way to describe deity mortals. Rather than thinking of them as mystical beings and myths and legends, if you think about them as animals in martial arts, they might make more sense, because animalistic behavior makes more sense to people than godly behavior. Funny enough. Let's look at our world, right? Anyway, So thanks. That question gave me a paradigm shift to look at my drunken a little bit differently, which is great because my master right now, George Shu, he's pushing me in the same direction. So it was really good, man. I appreciate it. Really good. Might be one more. I'll just keep walking in circles. I think the school bus is gonna run me over though. What's the other question? Oh yeah, this is a really good one. Get out of the wind here. So, how does drunken apply to grappling? That's a sexy question, that one. Because grappling's the new thing, right? In the 80s it was ninjas. Now we're all grappling. And grappling's a part of it. Always has been, right? It's how it works. So, without even getting into why the Chinese don't grapple, they do have some grappling systems. They're few and far between. Mainly because it was considered like the worst thing in the world to be down on the ground like a dog rolling around. Like, why would you do that? You wouldn't even fight with someone like that. To beat somebody, you knocked them down to the ground like a dog. So, learning how to roll around down there, kind of weird. So, let's go from there. Besides that, it happens. You end up on the ground. So every system has to be able to fight on the ground, period. And if if you don't think your system can fight on the ground, like, you're wrong. Why can't it? Everything fights on the ground. So this is how I was taught it. When grappling, there are 4 major rules. The first rule is you must relax. This is the hardest one. But if you relax enough, locks become incredibly hard to do on you. Simply because if they're going for a submission, you have the ability to continually wiggle and move as long as your muscles are not fighting themselves. So relax. Number 2 is 4-limb fighting. This is a big one for Kung Fu people like us. Well, like me. We tend to be, in any of the stand-up arts, we tend to fight with our hands or with our feet. You know what I mean? I'm at range for feet, so I use feet. And the second my hands will touch, I forget that I own any feet. No good. In a standing position, look at something kick-ass like Wing Chun. They rock 3 limbs in the air over and over with power and structure and speed. That's why they're a nightmare. Oh, look at all those people going this way. Because now you're trying to fight them with 2 limbs because you never train your leg, and they have 3. They're cheating. Good on you, Wing Chun. So, what is the deal with drunken? It's called 4-limb fighting, grappling. Give up your attachment to standing. I don't need to stand up. I'm drunk. Drunken looks at it like, if you want to go to the ground, it's just less energy for me. That's great. And if I remain relaxed and begin using all of my limbs as strikes, locks, etc., technical stuff, as we start to get to the earth, I'm trying to get a superior position in my perfect world, right? Or like cause some kind of horrendous injury that'll let me win. So we've got those. We didn't do a 4, did we? We didn't do follow momentum. So the last one is following the momentum. Going with the flow. Any energy you've been given while grappling, if your body's rolling to the left, for example, if you keep with that energy, you'll be able to increase it rather than have to waste energy to stop that momentum and change its direction. So if you're rolling to the left, why not continue rolling to the left, says the drunk. Maybe I'll roll to a little bit more different position to my left, maybe over your head while I go left. That's how it looks at it. So the art isn't supposed to change. It isn't supposed to change. But we didn't do turn the floor. Turning the floor. Okay, so turn the floor. It's like traffic and stuff. Kids are coming back from school. Turn the floor theory means that anything you can do standing up, you can do laying on the ground. You can do it laying on your back, laying on your side, laying on your stomach. Doesn't matter what it is. front kicks, side kicks, grappling techniques, flying techniques, they just look screwed up. Okay? That's one of the big ones. If you limit yourself to only grappling techniques when you're on the ground, you're limiting yourself. That's a problem. You don't want to limit yourself. That's the problem with all of this. Drunken is about getting rid of your limits. Like, who says I have to use an X, Y, or a Z? Who says what I have to do looks pretty? I mean, if somebody wants to take me down, man, if I'm going down, that's fantastic. Like, I'll escalate it. I'll try to pull your eyes out when we go down, but I'm not gonna, like, fight it, man. That's drunken boxing's kind of mind on it. I think I'll leave those ones there. There's more grappling theories we do, but I don't know, probably ought to touch a little bit more. I really dig these questions, though. I really do. The last big one that he gave me, I don't know if I can do in this video or not, but it's about how drunken boxing ends up in media all the time. It's in movies, it's in shows, it has this mystique about it. And yet, like, it keeps getting touted as this advanced martial art, but nobody knows it. Which, yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. Because, I mean, when I learned it, I just got to learn what I know. It wasn't my fault. I mean, I just got lucky. My teacher was a badass. But the thing is, if you understand that the purpose of drunken boxing, this is a hard question to even touch. The purpose of drunken boxing is to break the orthodox. Whatever it is you already know, it's meant to take it and stretch it to its absolute limits until it breaks, so that you can see where your limits are. So that your orthodox system, doesn't matter where you come from, this is why they call it an advanced system, right? Because you're supposed to have something you're going to break. But if you have a system that you already know, karate, whatever, right, and you're already really skilled at it, you already know its rules and its language. Drunken's idea is to go, okay, when you're in a bow stance or a front stance, this building that you've built, it's amazing and it's powerful. How far can we push all the limits on it, though? Like, I mean, does your knee have to be at 90? Do you have to sit up straight? Seems like a lot of work. And it starts like that until, you know, of course, the stance falls apart, the techniques don't work, whatever. That's the part where people don't realize that's the learning. Right when people get themselves to the place that they have stretched so far away from what they originally know, that their drunken has began to fail, then all they got to do is back it up a little bit, and suddenly you have drunken boxers who can actually fight. I mean, it's not a style. It's a style-breaking style. So if you were a Wing Chun person who learned drunken boxing and got to the place where you could break it, and it still worked when you backed off,